into that blue side for game number 2, but a very tough game 1 should sort of see them pick themselves up and see if they can't, kind of find a lot of the energy they seem to get in the end of that first game.
Yeah, we have to remember they almost won that game, and even though, the other thing to note is they're on the same side, and
Yes.
even yesterday when they were on the different side, they picked the exact same team comp in game 1 and 2, and that was with a pretty big loss in game 1 against Team Liquid Academy. So I don't think Echo Fox is actually going to make any big changes in that draft. Anything would change would be some of their in-game play for this. I think Phoenix1 needs to play faster. I think Phoenix1 should actually try and disrupt Echo Fox a little bit, but we'll see. We're in the draft.
Yeah, certainly sort of let Echo Fox play their game there, and were able to keep up a little bit, but felt like maybe a touch too risky. So we'll see what happens here in this second game here, because so far it's the same. Two bans are the same for Echo Fox with Shen and Gangplank. Vladimir and Anivia are the same two bans for Phoenix1. And if logic follows, we should have Hecarim. There he is, banned away. And P1's last ban was Victor, I believe. So we'll see if they change that. They don't.
There is a chance we get an exact replica of the champ select from the last game. That is 7 for 7 so far. Let's see how far it goes.
Where's the Insolok Karma Rek'Sai? Oh, there's one. Oh my god, they've already picked. There it is.
The last time I saw this happen was COG versus SKT Game 2 at MSI. This is still for a chance of the LCS.
Yeah.
Like, the stakes are pretty high, but I wouldn't be too surprised with this happening. Like, Phoenix1 pre-planned what they were going to do for the draft throughout the prior days. Echo Fox has had relatively standard champion pools, unless there was something that really didn't go their way. But, I mean, Echo Fox won every single lane. If anything, Hard would change his jungler. But really, why would he go off of the top tier of Gragas and Rek'Sai? They're discussing whether or not they want to do the same, because if they were really sure about it, these would be locked in already.
Yeah, it feels like it was more an execution thing than anything else there for Echo Fox. So the run back could be real, but Echo Fox are definitely slowing things down. I wonder if P1 just snap off the same picks. They're ready.
I mean, I will say, Charlie used to work for Cloud9, and Cloud9 were notorious for being extremely fast in their champion select.
Well, it's so far so good.
Yeah, these are the same champions.
Same order. Soraka and Gragas up again there for Echo Fox. P1 not going straight for it this time, but
yeah,
I don't think teams want to change it.
So Phoenix1 didn't have the greatest success with the poke comp against a Soraka, so their composition is still extremely flexible right now to go with drastically different solo lane choices. They could even put the Karma mid lane if they really wanted to.
Ash does keep hovering Ari, but might just be his favorite champion. Not sure he's considering it for Pyrian. Maybe Pyrian goes to something else. We've seen Zillion as a pretty popular response to Malzahar, but we had the Varus instead there for Pyrian in that first game, sorry. And maybe the Jin's there. Maybe he wants Sivir actually could be the difference here.
Yeah.
Could start to break that up,
Exactly.
and Matt will take it. And there's Talia for Pyrian.
They go drastically different with this team composition. It's a lot more global pressure. It's wanting to play the game a little bit faster. I think it's a little bit difficult, though, to see if they can get lane pressure going with Pyrian. Froggen's been beating people by 20 to 40 CS by the 10-minute mark. And if you're roaming out of lane, that can be even more devastating.
Like the key looks up straight into Heaven Time and is like, can I pick this? Can I play Vayne? He's like, no.
Please, please? No.
I mean, maybe.
Play Ashe. We'll see what he ends up going with. So we're not going to get to see exactly the same composition from Echo Fox because the Sivir has been taken away. Although I think if Phoenix1 would have continued, I'm almost certain Echo Fox would have continued.
Oh, yeah.
Now we'll get to see what their adaptations are. What's their tier list of AD carries? You'd think it would be the Ashe, but you may see a Lucian if they're going for a lane-dominant style.
Sivir, not the most interactive of laners, so you can kind of pick what you like. I guess they'll take Lucian there for Keith, and they'll have Gnar once again for KFO. So really no deviation for Echo Fox. They were forced to change a pick because Keith match stole away the Sivir. Zig's going to pick the Rumble again for the same matchup, and mid and AD carry are the only real changes here. I mean, again, Keith did have to swap away, but he kind of went to the next best thing, I feel like.
True, it does mean their initiation is lower. A lot of times you could fill some of Sivir's speed boost with an Ashe arrow, but he wants to make sure he remains mobile against a Talia, who's going to be trying to gank him fairly often, so can't necessarily fault them for that, but I do think it will be difficult for Echo Fox to make plays, which is something that we want them to be able to do more of.
It's true. I mean, they've got, the big initiators, the Gnar, the Gragas, but no assistance there to try and speed them in. See if Echo Fox can maybe just play little cleaner in the mid game perhaps, because I think that's where a lot of the problems started. P1, I think, going to still want to play that same aggressive style, maybe just turn it up a notch here. Purian, known Twisted Fate player, Talia does fill some of that space as well, so kind of curious to see how aggressive Purian can get in this game, because if he does get freed in that lane, look for him to maybe get down and snowball probably the bottom lane as well.
Very true. The big strategy for Phoenix1 right now is get a Nori far ahead, which gives them jungle pressure, and then essentially use Talia and Rek'Sai to go and just influence the side lanes and try and snowball the game, because if that doesn't happen, the late game discrepancy could be even larger this match in the favor of Echo Fox.
Well, not too many differences, but we'll see what changes here as we're going to move into our next game here. A nail-biting ending to the first game here, as don't forget to use those hashtags in. Hashtag FOXwin for Echo Fox, or P1 win there for Phoenix1. Phoenix1 happy to be up a game, maybe not the fashion they would have liked the game to go, but a win's a win. They only need 2 more to get themselves back into the NALCS.
Exactly, and a lot of times you need to lose a game before you see your adjustments for a team. Like, you really... a lot of times I say a series doesn't truly start until both teams win a game, because then you get to see how a team adjusts to a defeat. Echo Fox is very close to winning that last game, so in a sense, both teams need to show their adjustments here. Echo Fox very confident with what they did earlier, only making the one change. Phoenix1 making multiple changes and trying to play through the mid lane and the jungle in this match.
I feel like both teams kind of where we expect them to do. Phoenix1 just thinking, hey, we want to play up a little more. Echo Fox saying it was just execution. Let's take almost the same comp back in. We are going to fan out back out onto Summoner's Rift here. And we'll see if we have standard lanes this time. That could be a deviation from game number 1. So far, so good, as they are lined up against each other in those positions, but anything can change, as we do still have some time. Mash are going to get spotted. He wants the ward. Someone's got a sweeper. It's actually Mash. Takes out the Trinket ward.
I mean, that's not a bad strategy. He's probably going to go recall and actually swap out the sweeper. So he did that literally just to clear. You can see a big grin on Mash's face right now. He's like, yeah, I knew that was happening. Look at this cheese strat I got. Now I got a warding trinket. But to speak to the mid lane matchup a little bit, Talia has a ridiculous early game. Like, early game, as in the first 3 levels. Malzahar is known to shove in most laners, not Talia. So Purian should actually be able to get an early advantage in this lane, which could allow Inori to get some early jungle pressure. That's another reason you could see them with this pick.
Well, maybe Inori is going to get a bit more active in the ganking front, especially since we are going to have standard lanes by the looks of things. Both duo lanes going to start on a camp. Inori and Zig going to start here on these Crocs. Have a quick check-in with the Keystone Master. No real surprises there, but there's the power of Talia. Shoves down and almost kills the castaway with 1 spell.
Going to be able to pop that next spell very quickly. Get the first wave into the turret. That makes it very difficult for Froggen to stay with the Talia early on.
I'm curious to see how the interaction's going to work out. You have to think Malzahar passive is constantly under fire as well in that lane. But we'll find out if we are going to have a look in at this 2v2. Keith going to eat an early Boomerang Blade. Does ding level 2, but control already there for Phoenix1, as Big can't really afford to be aggressive as a level 1 Soraka.
Yeah, absolutely not. So we have the standard lanes. This is in favor of Echo Fox's game, so to speak, where they were up in CS in every lane as that game progressed. The big question will be whether they can keep the pressure up in the lanes this game to deal with Inori's counter jungle, because last game, Inori got very far ahead of Hard and was able to get an individual advantage. But if Phoenix1 keeps the lanes pushed up as well, that jungle pressure could lead to CS advantages in the lanes as well, and that's when you would get the snowball victory for Phoenix1.
Yep. Going to get a really good look into these lanes as well, because of course they're going to have to face pretty much fair and square off against each other. So far so good here for both teams really in the bottom lane here, as we check in with Purian and Frog, and here's Hard though, looking in for a gank. Mash going to have to spell shield, very nice, but he burns the heal, forced to now flash out of the way. Hard's going to call that one a success.
Yeah, and an incredibly strange route for Hard. He doesn't kill blue, he doesn't kill red, he kills all of his small camps and then ganks, which actually gives Inori a golden opportunity for a lot of counter junking right now.
Well, we talked about it being a team thing, and Inori doesn't need it this time. Going to be able to take this blue buff away. Might even look to donate it to Purian if he can walk over fast enough, but probably just safer to take it. Does take it for himself. Now looks for the wolf cam. Not going to see it, but Gromp is there if he wants to take that.
Yep.
And why not?
Yeah, he's going to take Gromp very easily, judging by the jungle pathing. And honestly, depending on whether Hard can make it back over there, he could camp out and try and fight him, because he's going to be heading towards the wolves, because they'll be spawning in about 5 or 10 seconds based on the jungle route.
Might look for top lane, although lane a little too far pushed. Inori instead going to tunnel out. Save that one for later. And Hard's at least going to get his walls, but he's going to walk over and see almost none of his jungle left here, as he now discovers what's happened.
This is really bad for Echo Fox because Inori has the perfect flow set up in the jungle right now. And farming junglers like Inori love to get into cycles like this where they can just clean their whole jungle without wasting any time. His Krugs just respawn, which means he's fully efficient, going to Raptors, going to Wolves, handing off Blue Buff to Pyrian's Taliyah because he has a Blue Buff of his own, and he's Rek'Sai, taking Gromp, then he can take the Scuttle Crab. Everything will flow for him, which means he's going to get very far ahead of Hard in experience because Hard does not have the same flow set up. Since he doesn't have Blue Buff, he can't clear nearly as quickly.
And then on top of that, I imagine Tiamat first is coming back out for Inori, so he can continue extending the farm advantage that he got in game number 1. Wolf Spirit's going to get smited away, just so Inori checks that no one's peeking into his jungle. And Pyrian's already here for the assist, or for the donation, I should say, as KFO does teleport himself back to top lane. Got a Hextran Canal for that 1v1 versus Zig.
Yeah, so I think KFO will be pretty good in his lane against Zig. The struggle will be if Inori and Pyrian can both ult his lane. That's really where we're going to be seeing this game turn.
We'll say on the mid lane front though, Froggen has done a good job keeping things pretty even there. He's a little bit down in CS, but hasn't really got aggressed on by Pyrian. Froggen actually went back kind of early, but did run out of mana, so wanted to get himself a bit more with that lost chapter. Going to be building that first item Nomicon again, and maybe Phoenix1 fancy a dive here in the bottom lane. And Nori's certainly positioning to get aggressive, and Keith, that's a face check-in. Not going to get punished though.
Yeah, luckily though, Keith is the one who does that, and he's able to dash away. Plus, he could ward the brush from afar, so that'll just send Inori back to base after a very efficient 27 CS first clear. Allows him to get a Tiamat and boots right off the back of his first recall.
Huge early power there for Inori. So I can look at Hard, he's just struggling with a couple of books there, as looks like the fan vote is tipped back in favor of Echo Fox with the hashtag FoxWin. Seems like they caught the tail end of that game. Can certainly understand why that would, or game 1 I should say, certainly see why that would empower the fans. Echo Fox definitely looking pretty good in promotion so far. Looking fine in this game as well. P1 barely up 300 gold.
I will say to Hard's credit though, he's kept up fairly well in experience. The one thing that happens when you do a small camp route at the start of the jungle is you can keep your experience up fairly high. You just lose a lot of pressure because you don't have any buffs to either keep yourself really healthy or full mana, and it makes your ganks really, really weak. But from there, he's not trapped in a situation where Inori's going to be level 7 and Hard's still going to be level 4 or 5 because he's been able to clear his jungle so well.
Well, we'll have to keep tracking that jungle matchup because Inori should start flying ahead with that Tiamat built up nice and early. Looks like Hard though, just going to go back in, try and check to see what he can take. He kind of said it already, but real disrupted flow here for Hard means he kind of has to jankily move around and take kind of whatever scraps he can get.
Exactly, he can keep his experience up, but you can see his mana's so low because he's been clearing without the blue buff and he hasn't been able to complete any items. So this allows Inori to kind of invade freely, get rid of the ward control that Echo Fox had set up, get some wards of his own, and that will allow Pyrian a little bit more freedom in the mid lane, and they could very well try and prep a 4-man dive here in the bottom lane. This is what they're trying to look for. KFO is going aggressive from the top, but the bottom lane might be in trouble too.
Really good aggression there, but here comes bottom lane, Pyrian gonna wall his way over. Keith gonna be the target. Almost gets blown to pieces from one little combo, but will stay alive for a little while longer, but not long enough. There's one, there's two. P1 with the dive.
Yeah, and that is something that had been in the making for a while. We talked about it all the way since Champions Select. The way the Rek'Sai and Taliyah work is you get waves pushed up, you get into the other jungle, and the Rek'Sai and the Taliyah dive at once. KFO didn't have teleport to stop that. Hard was not under the jungle. Echo Fox was not prepared for the inevitability of that gank, and Phoenix1 gets the double kill. Well executed by them, gives him a good early lead.
Excellent preparation, and things looking good as we'll watch this dive again. Pyrian just surfs his way down.
Yeah, he surfs down, he cuts them off. They have flashes, but there's already 2 people there. They don't want to flash over. Keith is completely trapped, as is Big. Inori takes the turret aggro. He is the tankiest member, even though he just has the Tiamat. Not enough damage to be able to get down on him. And imagine that gank if Hard was down there at level 6 with his ultimate. It probably doesn't work.
No.
But he had just recalled because he finished his clear and he was out of mana. So all of that early advantage was cashed in by Phoenix1.
And very nicely played indeed, as Inori going to continue farming up a storm here. Looks like Phoenix1 out to a pretty similar lead that they had, but maybe earlier on than they did in game 1. 1,500 gold up for them, with actually both the carries kind of being the big benefactors there. And Zig, despite the pressure from KFO, has actually kept it nice and even in the top lane. Looking like KFO was getting a little bit of pressure. Froggen was thinking about coming up as well for a potential gank, but Zig keeps himself safe, holds onto his TP most importantly. And KFO, despite how good of a laner he is, hasn't really been able to put the pressure on. In fact, Zig is going to get a pink ward down here on mid lane while he's got a bit of spare time.
Very true. Both teleports are up for the top lane, though, and KFO looks like he's rushing them all once again. So I think he's going to be looking fairly threatening. The trouble will be that he has not that much freedom to push up and play that aggressively, only because Inori will be threatening as well as Pyrion. So any of the lanes that Echo Fox would want to get aggressive with, they can't necessarily because of the pressure that the jungle and mid lane can be putting out.
Ooh, Inori could maybe cut him off, but Pyrion gonna miss that shove there onto hard. That pink ward's gonna get cleared away as a result. A good attempt there from P1 trying to force a 2v2. Froggen though seems like it has gotten the wave pushed out a bit more. Pyrion's gonna have to handle this wave, but does so pretty comfortably. That
first 3 levels where Talia can shove the wave up, we're past that now. Froggen has recovered the lane. He's starting to catch back up in CS. It's not the CS victory Froggen has had against all other opponents, but I think that's from the champion matchup. Expect Froggen to have a lot of mid lane pressure from here on out.
And maybe a Cloud Drake for P1. So they are going to get this started. And Inori can pretty much comfortably solo this. Gate's going to babysit him here, make sure he stays nice and healthy. But Echo Fox is not anywhere near to try and contest for this. In fact, Froggen's going back top lane.
They're looking to try and kill Zig during this one. Malzahar roam, he goes to try and get there faster. They're going!
There we go, the ulti's going to chain in there. Look to wall him in, but Zig actually pretty healthy. Flash equalizer might keep him safe. Froggen, though, does take him out, and KFO barely lives.
Oh, but he might die!
Inori, no, never mind about the living. Whoa! Tiamat just takes him down.
That's that Rek'Sai for you right there, being able to get the global pressure. They get the Cloud Drake. He had a huge tunnel network set up right there. The turret aggro wasn't exactly the way Echo Fox wanted it. I think they actually wanted it on Froggen. But KFO had gone in a little bit early. That left him a little bit low. So not only does Phoenix1 get the Drake, Echo Fox trades kills.
Yeah, just a trade there. I guess Echo Fox will take it, collect some of their money there, but not the cleanest that it could have been there. Pyrion also did not join, so he's got the ulti ready. As Hard looks to gank him, Pyrion forced to flash out of the way, but Hard does burn the ultimate in the process.
Yeah, very true. Both summoners burned by Froggen during that gank. It's going to make him less threatening in lane. Instead of just using the Malzahar flash ult in mid lane with a gank, they decide to roam up top. A little bit peculiar of a choice right there, since if they can control Pyrion, Pyrion wouldn't be able to impact the other lanes.
You can see Inori's kind of jungling also continuing, but Hard has kept pretty close in CS here. He's going to go take what he can. Watch this dive again here. Zig almost got out of this.
Yeah, the thing is the minions ran out, which is what got the turret onto KFO, and then he jumped in a fraction of a second before Froggen. Froggen could have tanked a turret shot because of the void shift a little bit. He's able to get the kill, and it looks like KFO is going to be able to get out, but with the massive tunnel network, Inori is very easily able to hop in and take the kill. So the idea of the gank was nice. The execution was a little bit off there for Echo Fox.
And Echo Fox do have to be careful because it is P1 that kind of have advantage in a lot of these roam situations. Froggen did sneak his way out there though, so well played by the mid laner. It's Hard, gonna force Pyrion out of his lane here. Looks like Talia wants to go back anyway. Morello Novacon now finished for both of those mid laners, and Gate taking some damage there for Keith. Able to safely clear away the ward though, as kind of teams starting to move around the map a little more, but no turret's been taken down, means that they are constricted to sort of the early lanes here. No one wants to get too crazy just yet.
Yeah, very true. And you can also see Keith going with the Essence Reaver build. A lot of times, you'll be seeing the Lucian go with Ghostblade and Black Cleaver. Keith's done both. He did both on Thursday. This one, though, he's expecting a long, drawn-out laning phase, so he's going to be going with the more late-game-centric CDR and crit build.
Oh, bad news bears. Pyrion going to get ulted by Froggen. Hard's just going to wait it out. Ulti's him back. Pyrion, yep, absolutely dead. Froggen gets him.
They did it! They ganked the Malzahar lane. The follow-up is so easy right there. They had the vision control. They just pressed the buttons, and they got him down. We need to be seeing more of that from Echo Fox, because they might even get the mid lane turret off this.
Maybe. Inori going to try and stop them, but not sure he can do it on his own 1v2 right now. Snipes the cannon minion for himself. But again, can't really go back in. Minion's about to run out, but the wave's going to come back in. Inori doesn't feel safe just face checking and trying to clear it out in melee form. And this could be the turret going over.
Yeah, even without ultimate, Malzahar is really threatening.
Certainly is, as Mash Going back in, looking for something.
He's got to be super careful.
I'm not sure they wanted this one. Mash still cutting away. Keith's going to chase 40, flashes in, takes out Mash, and now Gate going to kite his way back onto the turret. Mid tower falls as well, I believe, so everything's starting to go wrong for P1 and very right for Echo Fox.
Yeah, big 2v2 win right there for Keith and Big down in that bottom lane. You do not expect the Soraka lane to get aggressive, but that's because Phoenix1 was trying their power play of their own, and they just overextended. The immediate exhaust from Big, the immediate aggressive play from Keith, and they make Phoenix1 pay.
Yep, not sure what Mash wanted to do there, but a little too far forward. Gets himself killed in the process. Let's watch this one again. Keith is just chilling out.
Yeah, and they just jump right onto Big. But like, look at Mash. He even gets caught close to where the root is. There's only so much shielding Gate can give him. Flash follow by Keith through all the summoner spells. Really just not enough, and a Sivir shouldn't be trying to do a Lucian. And whatever that was also a thing.
That was a jungler versus top laner solo kill as a Nori.
Yeah.
Looking to keep his team firmly in the game.
Yeah, KFO rushed to Mav Malmortius. Very tunneled on the one matchup against the Rumble, so a full physical damage Rek'Sai flies in there with a higher level than you. He's going to take you out. Big kill by Nori to try and get the momentum back.
And we tried it last game as well with the early Titanic. This time it succeeds. So a nice little play there from Nori, getting himself actually a turret in the processes. Yeah, I don't know how this happened, but...
Yeah, well, KFO used his hop, and Nori just kills him. Rek'Sai can do that at this point in the game. He's reaching his strongest point, really, when he's around a level 11, level 13. I mean, he can basically duel anyone on the map right now, so... He chose KFO, you got him.
Yep, well, that's more of what we want to see from the Phoenix1 side. Nori, again, played surprisingly subdued in game number 1, despite the lead he had. So I think maybe correcting some of that aggression here. Phoenix1 looking for another Drake here. Cloud Drake's up in about 35 seconds or so. Scuttle Crab will get cleared away for some of that vision, and this is real unsafe for Echo Fox to try and defend.
Yeah, the teleport might come in from Zig as well. Let's see how Keith can get away.
Flashing from Get, he gets knocked up. Damage isn't there. They need the burst. Soraka heals him through everything. And now KFO sees Zig actually makes his way down as well. Bahad also in defense. Oh, KFO. Big whiff on the ulti there.
Yeah, time to back away if you're Echo Fox. Big has used all his health to try and keep Keith up and keep the turret alive. A slim escape right there.
They'll take the Drake instead, though, I think. P1, maybe even ganking Froggen.
Yeah, they already have the Cloud Drake, so they roam pretty fast when you consider they have the Sivir Karma on top of the Cloud. What are they using in that fight? They use the Rumble ultimate and the Sivir ultimate, so a Drake take could be a little bit risky.
I know they forced them back, but don't have that information right now, so it's going to play it safe, fall back. Turn it the blue buff over probably to Purion, who's now making his way over for it. Hard, a little short on that barrel as Purion collects the buff for himself. It looks like Drake's going to have to wait. Yeah, the map's been reset a bit here.
I mean, Echo Fox is actually the ones looking to make a play right now, because if it wasn't for that smite, Hard would have snuck into that rush and maybe tried to get Purion as he roams down towards Drake. Instead, the minions kill the turret in the top side, and Echo Fox is turning for this Drake. No Rumble ultimate, but that doesn't mean we won't see a fight.
Spotted wall out there from Talia, going to try and cut him off. Does do so, but it's kind of the wrong way around. Hard finds 2, gets smashed down awfully low and Big, able to chase him in with some bananas. Mash
he's
still looking for a little while longer. Sting turns it back around as Purion slays Hard. KFO almost going Mega Zik, still trying to chase in. Flashes on the key, trying to burn him down, but it's not enough as KFO now going to turn things around. He's almost transformed it up. Froggen able to chase down Nori. Nori tunnels his way out to safety, but he's found 2 more members of Echo Fox. The rest of his team's abandoned him, and Nori's going to go down.
And a big start to the fight by Hard. He got a massive combo off of. Also note he's gone for Runic Echo's Gragas this time, which is more aggressive and less defensive, and that gave him a lot of burst necessary to start that fight in the right way. They weren't able to kill Mash, but they did take him out of the fight, and that allowed the rest of Echo Fox to play aggressive.
Exactly what Echo Fox want. We talked about it. They needed to just play a little more proactively for themselves, and that's a big play from the position required there as Hard just nails them here, although P1 starts it off with the wall. Oh, wrecked.
Great ult by Froggen to stop Purion from taking that all the way in, and that also takes a lot of time away from Zig. Notice how Mash does escape, but Keith then comes in the backside of the fight, and Zig and the Nori don't have quite enough damage to take down Keith. This is why he picked Lucian instead of Ashe. He wants better dueling and better mobility. He's able to win that fight. Froggen finished off Gate. Nori has nowhere else to run. He probably should have tunneled up towards his base. Instead, he tunnels towards the enemy base and ensures his death.
Now Purion back into the ultimate. Froggen going to lock him down. Purion will die there as Froggen 4 kills now on a Rampage.
Yeah, and the Cloud Drake is still up for Echo Fox. That was another big play for Froggen. Those 4 kills aren't going away. He's going to keep that gold advantage for the rest of the match. Keith's got to be careful, though. Minori is going to try and solo him.
I mean, they got 2 more, but they'll have to go around the long way. Keith taking damage, solo possible here. Inori does have the flash on, borrows for it. Just takes him down.
Rek'Sai plus Sivir plus Karma is just so much burst right now. The Drake still hasn't gone down, by the way, but with this death timer, Phoenix1 might pick up their second Cloud Drake of the game. Hard is in a peculiar position.
Oh, looks to make another big play. Finds the same pair he got earlier, but not quite enough damage. And P1 have now started the Cloud Drake, kind of putting their foot down here, saying, you know what? Calm challenges for this objective, and I don't think Echo Fox want to this time.
Yeah, that'll be 50 out of combat movement speed for Phoenix1 right now. So even though the gold reads as a 400 advantage for Echo Fox, that out of combat move speed is going to be massive for Phoenix1 to get fights like this one.
Yep, it's exactly like this. As KFO snared up there by Gabe. Protobot in from Rumble, damages Aaron, and Ori, of course, gets himself another kill.
Really back and forth game. You can tell these teams aren't necessarily playing as passive as they were in game 1, and they're definitely looking to make a lot more plays here in the second matchup. And Nori is going off a little bit more. Pyrion's pressing, which has led to Echo Fox punishing. KFO as well, trying to push up a little bit too much. That's getting punished by Phoenix1. So really, these teams hitting a lot harder in the second game.
Nori going top lane, going to clear that wave out, but P1 going to try and clean out another turret for themselves and equalize. Mash going to stay down here on Sivir and does stay long enough to take out the bottom outer turret. Echo Fox, though, continuing to play proactively. Going to pressure this tier 2 mid. Do get some nice poke onto it.
Yeah, definitely testing each other a lot harder here. As Mash was down bottom, that meant Echo Fox wanted to push up mid, and they're just going to continue until they get that turret.
They do actually get it here. P1 a little late back to the party. And Echo Fox actually take a pretty crucial structure. They're knocking down that tier 2 mid lane. Huge open space for them to move through, and they're not done. They're going straight top lane now. Yeah,
they've also been able to clear the majority of Inori's tunnels as far as that network is concerned. But there's KFO in the bottom lane, so it'll be pretty risky for Echo Fox to continue this push.
Yeah, does have TP, but channel time pretty long now after that little change. So Echo Fox instead decide that there's not really much to gain there. They'll just plop down a ward at Baron. Hard's going to take this Scuttle Crab, and everything's just going to relax for a little while longer. Echo Fox playing it much closer. P1 again still up in gold, but this game has barely dipped 1,000 gold ahead for either team. 21.5 minutes in so far.
Yeah, and we also said for this team composition to really work for Phoenix1, they were going to want to snowball the game. And Ori's doing great. He's gotten a bunch of kills, but they've given so many back. Late game could still be there for Echo Fox, and Echo Fox are actually the ones that are up on turrets. So you would expect, because Inori has been living in the enemy jungle and Pyrion has the ability to roam, that Phoenix1 would then be the ones with the first 3 turrets down. But it's actually Echo Fox with the first 4 turrets down. 2 turrets in the mid lane, none on their own. That's Froggen holding down the fort in the mid lane, and Pyrion roaming a bit too much, getting a caught bit too much, and that could give Echo Fox the ability to take control of the map.
Does give him the gold lead at least, which isn't too bad. Pyrion going to go ahead, take his blue buff away. Mash actually helping out there on the assist, so Pyrion should be able to wave clear relatively well. Here he does have Abyssal Scepter second actually. So opting for a little bit more combat potential. Knows that Froggen's getting in range with the ultimate no matter what happens.
Yeah, I think he needs it with the way he's died in these last few fights. Needs that selfish magic resistance. Also, the Abyssal doesn't hurt, considering the majority of their team, or both their soul laners at least, are magic damage, and the physical damage won't kick in heavy for Mash until later.
Looks like Baron, potential objective, and Nori's taking some deeps, but clears out the pink ward. P1 do have vision in the back of the pit as well. It looks like both teams could be transitioning themselves to that particular side of the map, and we're kind of getting to that point in the game, but we kind of talked about the scaling in game 1. Echo Fox were pretty happy to let the game play a little slower. This game has been way more action-packed, certainly, but Echo Fox kind of still have the same scaling here.
Yeah, they really do. The only thing they don't have is a Sivir. Instead, they have Lucian. I would say a 6-item Lucian's a little bit scarier, but 6-item Sivir is a little bit scarier than a 6-item Lucian. But Echo Fox pushing their strength right now straight up the mid lane. Maybe they just use this to try and get some wards. Got to be a little bit careful that Big doesn't get caught out on the backside. They're looking to push potentially.
Yeah, Nori's actually trying to flank it over here. We can't quite find a line for Soraka. KFO has prepped a wave in the bottom lane though.
So proactive this game.
And it's been great to watch here. Echo Fox beating P1 around the map, which is not what they were doing in the first game.
Yeah, Zig actually proto belts backwards, and they take the majority of this turret's health. Meanwhile, Gates off clearing pink wards on the other side of the map. Echo Fox is ahead in tempo, despite Phoenix1 having the Sivir, the Karma, and the 2 Cloud Drakes to rotate with.
And Talia, they've got plenty of ways to get around the map, but haven't been able to use them yet. Here comes Hard looking for another engage, but doesn't quite go for it. Echo Fox now forcing... It's funny, kind of playing P1's game, but very successfully, I might add. They've been the high-pressure team in the back half of the season, but you wouldn't guess looking at this game.
Yeah, very true. And Nori has kept his farm up. He's been the one that's consistent in his play, but the other lanes haven't been able to get that same level of pressure.
Fox certainly adapting well here. Again, had a good run in the promotion tournament so far, but game's still here for Phoenix1. It's a key one if they can win it as well, because going up 2-0 in a best of 5 is always a good feeling, and Keith, he is the next target.
Yeah, he's got to be a little bit careful. There's no wards in his side of the jungle.
Oh,
that half step forward.
Oh, Flash on Burrow is going to knock him down. Root should chase him long enough. Keith now under the turret, but he can't do anything big, not there in time. Zig going to TP in his own. KFO might get himself caught out of position. Hard looking to make a big play, but the barrel doesn't quite go in. And now Nori tanking, but KFO is almost back in the Mega. Now Pyrian cuts off 2 as well. Gate's going to get escorted out here.
Yeah, that slight move forward by Keith when it should have been back was all it took for Phoenix1 to be able to get that kill. Keith used both summoner spells. In fact, it looks like 7 of Echo Fox's summoner spells were used in that fight, even though they only suffered 1 casualty. That looks like it's contained to just the 1 kill, though, so not the end of the world for Echo Fox.
Yeah, good news certainly is that nothing going to be followed up on here. P1 still behind in turrets, which is not good news for them, but not able to really convert on those 2 kills. They'll take their gold, though, and Keith, again, like you mentioned, just a little too far up here.
Yeah, well, the map is pretty dark, which is going to be difficult on him no matter what. Only 1 sidestone on the Echo Fox side, but really quick flash on Burrow from Nori trying to predictably catch Keith out. The Soraka ult comes in, the lock comes in a little late. That was after Big tried to flash to get into range.
Everyone's okay.
And that'll do it. It was close there to Froggen being able to get a pick, because they're going to be going for this Ocean Drake.
Yeah. Drake is actually up. Fox are on it, but I think P1 might be happy to trade for this outer turret here. KFO getting chunked, almost gets knocked back by Talia. This tower's going to fall down. It's a crucial bit of space opened up now for Phoenix1.
Yeah, I will say, though, still pretty crucial for a Soraka to be able to get the Ocean Drake, because it can eliminate some of the costs of Soraka healing, since she will be able to regen, nullifying the main cost of her health, which is her own, of her healing, which is her own health.
Good Fox, though, continuing to play up. Have certainly been kind of caught off guard a bit. Have to slow things down after Keith got caught, but still continuing to play up, proactively push the waves. I think Phoenix1 have adjusted well, starting to kind of manage their waves a little better, stick together more as a team. And could have, again, kind of open up the game with 1 big team fight. Phoenix1 are still ahead, but these gold leads have been so insignificant for the first 25 minutes or so of both our games so far.
Swinging back and forth as well in this one, the 1,000 or 2,000 gold back and forth. This is tricky for Echo Fox because they have a top laner in the bottom side with no teleport. So not only are they losing control of their own jungle, they might lose control of Baron. This could be taken by Phoenix1.
Phoenix1 have started it, so KFO going to walk his way up there. Barely some vision there with the blue trinket.
They're late. They're really late.
Little too late by the looks of things. Fox just can't go to contest it. They're not even going to get a chance to steal it. Baron goes over. They're going to try and start a fight here. Hard needs to look for a lion, but ulti pop by Siva, and that's going to be them booking it.
Yeah, massive wave prepped in the bottom side, and then when Phoenix1 went to get the blue buff steal, they also laid down defensive wards, which allowed them some safety when taking that Baron. Echo Fox wasn't quick enough, and Keith maybe caught again.
Keith got tagged with the equalizer. Not good. That flash will do it, though. Zig.
Yeah, so much of this stems from the loss of vision control in their jungle, so now the Baron power play is on. They kill Keith, they have Baron minions, how much can they get? 2
little mistakes, maybe starting to snowball. Hard actually caught as well, perhaps, and Nori going to try and chase him down, but Hard's going to body slam out. Top tier 2, though, does go to Phoenix1, and they are done. Pushing the Baron wave in towards that inhibitor turret, but not going crazy just yet. Good news, though, they've equalized the turrets. Phoenix1, huge window in this game to try and really break it open.
Yeah, and they've been rotating around, but mainly it's the vision control that they've been able to get. Better sweeping of the Echo Fox wards. There's relatively the same number of wards on the map. Gate did complete his Sightster item, so he had another ward in his pocket, so to speak, when compared to Big. And they've also spent a lot more time in the enemy jungle, plus they have the benefit of a Nori's Tremor Sense. So all of those things kind of built up together has given them the opportunity to pick off Echo Fox on multiple occasions.
Nori now going to rejoin his team there, burns the ultimate just to make his way very quickly back to the red buff actually. Flies by 2 wards.
Yeah.
Doesn't want either of them, wants to ward the enemy jungle instead. And Mash going to get a big wave pushed down towards Keith and Big. Echo Fox need to try and defend this turret. This will fall quickly with the Baron empowerment.
Keith's just not strong enough to clear these minion waves away, plus he's got to respect the dives. Losing a lot of outer buildings very quickly while KFO is off split pushing.
Does have his teleport this time though, so can join his team if required. For Phoenix1, playing real fast with the pressure now. It's KFO slowly pushing his wave back out, but now he has to go back. And might lose another turret for it. Zig actually going to join that wave. He's got teleport as well, and he's been on point joining his team in those situations.
Absolutely. Zig also not with Phoenix1, so it looks like Phoenix1 is going to fall back. It will be very tricky for Echo Fox to actually get fights. We have to remember...
Oh, period! Oh! Woo! Burnt everything, but barely misses KFO.
That was real close. And KFO would have most likely fallen if that hadn't been the case. But yeah, flash down on Pyrean's going to be pretty big now as well. That might help Echo Fox get fights. It's going to be hard, though, to push through the Sivir and the Karma speed as well as the Cloud Drakes. Echo Fox had trouble getting fights last game when they had the Sivir. It's only going to get more difficult.
Yeah, not too much Baron left for Phoenix1, though. Only got 1 turret so far, so likely want to apply a bit more pressure. I think they're pretty juicily looking at that tier 2 in mid lane, but Froggen is there to keep the waves pushed in. Needs quite a bit of help, though, versus the Baron up minions. But looks like Phoenix1 don't want to dip their head in too far forward, lest they get ulted by Malzahar.
Yeah, and that's teleport.
Ooh, hello.
This is going to be their try.
Hard wants it instead, but that's a flash out from Mash. Now Inori in as the equalizer going to try and cut them down the middle. Keith burns the Culling as KFO flanked again.
Guess flash.
Mega goes in. Oh, the ulti finds Zig. Flashes from KFO finds 3. Wall on the gate there as well. Froggen just slays poor Zig, but Talia going to knock hard back in. Inori tanking all of this damage, but the AoE from Malzahar starting to stack up. P1 though, I think they've turned it around. KFO's GA is going to get popped and he will fall as Mash is able to take him down. Inori zoning the dual lane of Echo Fox by himself. Froggen's going to die. Shut down there from Gate's going to give P1 the win there.
Yeah, they pushed in so hard for that one. KFO got exhausted during his combo. Inori now is just a monster running down Keith solo, like you said.
Okay, that dual lane flashes in for the last Q. Inori doesn't quite have enough to chase in, but P1 going to crack the base wide open.
Yeah, and still pretty substantial death timers, so probably time to get the inhibitor as well. That was Echo Fox giving it their best shot, but it didn't look like they had quite enough damage to follow that up. We'll get to see in the replay whether or not Keith could get in on that fight, because the team fighting of Malzahar with a nice flash and R initiation looks very promising. It was interesting here how Phoenix1 did get split a little bit, which allowed the approach to happen, and the equalizer actually doesn't have that much impact. KFO gets the hop, and he flash ults. Where is Keith in this fight? He's trying to push on the side. A lot of minions. Inori just kind of zones people out here for most of it. Froggen then gets trapped a little bit. Pyrean zoomed by Karma, so he can't contribute. And they really need their whole team if they want to kill Inori, so just having Keith down there on the side is enough. That means Froggen falls, and then Inori just decides to go. Keith trying to kill some wards, sticks around a little too long and gets knocked up by Inori. Very unfortunate end. Probably could have been a 2-for-1, turned out to be a 3-for-1 because of some bad ward play. Big able to survive.
Yeah, and of course the mid lane inhibitor fell as well. So plenty of advantage now for Phoenix1 as the 3rd Cloud Drake of the game will also go over to them. Thought their roaming was scary before. They are moving real quick out of combat.
Yeah. Just obscene move speeds will be reached. They will obviously be hitting,
right?
They'll be hitting some diminishing returns obviously, but just the base move speed of some of these guys is going to be way too high. 447 is the base move speed for Inori. That's about 50 faster than the base move speed on the other side, even though it's 75 out of combat move speed, technically from the 3 Cloud Drakes.
Looks pretty cool as well. Mash zooming around on Sivir. Does clear a wave down into that bottom lane. Phoenix1 maybe looking at Baron as their next port of call. Minute 5 there till that one's back up as Inori rushes back into the jungle. Certainly Hard's kept up better this time, but Inori, Rek'Sai's just this sort of champion, especially when you go this build.
Yeah.
I feel like Phoenix1, you know, kind of just brute force their way through that last fight, and all of a sudden they've opened up a huge gold lead.
It's very true. And while I will say that Hard kept up a fair bit in CS, he hasn't kept up in gold and he hasn't kept up in pressure. He's kept up in CS because all he's been doing is farming. But Inori's been able to get this advantage as well as pressure and gank and do all the things you expect out of a jungler. And that's really been critical in Phoenix1's success.
Talked about the mismatch. Might be showing itself a little bit here as Inori going to get things started here. Top pressure will open up the Baron area for Phoenix1. Zig down in the bottom lane versus KFO. And KFO once again waiting on a bit of a longer teleport cooldown. Zig has his backup already. Looks like he's pretty freely challenging Nara in the 1v1 as well, at least not getting himself too far down. So P1 are going to have advantage in the area, but Inori's got other plans.
The split push Rek'Sai. He's level 17 right now. Not many people can actually deal with him. So that's another one of these things just going to give Phoenix1 time to go at Baron.
Sometimes I think Inori forgets that he's playing in the promotion tournament for his LCS life.
He's not
I think he's back at home, just playing at home on his computer. That's what it feels like.
Yep, very casual type of split pushing. It's almost like he doesn't care about the opponent. That's the way top solo queue players play the game a lot of time. And somehow Inori's been able to transfer that to the professional scene.
Very, very impressive. Taking down some big opponents as well, of course, but Phoenix1 need to focus on this series right here. Looking good in game 2, but Echo Fox not out of it. We saw the almost late game comeback in game number 1. See if they can find kind of a similar looking engage here to the late stages, but Phoenix1 have been playing with their pressure a little bit better here. And I think they're just going to look to take this Baron and probably end the game off it. Echo Fox knowing this, see how they challenge.
Yeah, still just one inhibitor down for Echo Fox, though, and we know how they have been able to hold in the past, but I will agree with you, based on the last team fight, it looked like Phoenix1 was building quite an advantage.
KFO at least got a turret in the bottom lane, so his split pushing endeavors have not gone completely unnoticed here for Echo Fox, so a bit of extra gold is nice, but Severalty pop hard, caught trying to ward things out, gets popped back by Talia's shove, and that's Pyrian with it.
Yeah, and that just really hurts. They had no vision control. He was stuck in a pocket of vision. Phoenix1 was able to run him down, and that's going to be Baron pretty easily.
Yep, take one kill and then take the Baron. Easy as you like there for Phoenix1. Zig still eating some pressure there from KFO, but Baron goes over to P1, and they're just running straight down top lane.
Yep, they already have an explosive inhibitor in mid lane. I mean, it looks like Echo Fox is going to try and counter with something a little cute.
I've seen this before.
Yeah, it didn't work out last time. They were thinking of sending 3 or 4 people to deal with Zig.
Okay, they are...
They're on a ward, too. That's unfortunate.
Yep, and now Zig's like, oh, I'm not in trouble at all. KFO is probably going to back away, and Phoenix1 going to barrel down top lane and just delete that tower. This inhibitor not long for its life either. And Phoenix1 now 2 pressure points with the super minions.
Yeah, and Phoenix1 has done a lot of things really well. It's definitely not indicative of the way they started the LCS split, where they lost every single match in the first round robin. Like, the way they did the early game ganks here seemed very coordinated, and the way they're using these triple Cloud Drakes to gain vision control and starve Echo Fox out. Like, these are mid to top tier LCS team strategies, so very, very well-deserved victory if they're able to close this one out and maintain this level of play.
Got Elder Dragon up in a minute 40. Inori already in the area, making sure he gets some vision down. Clearing his red buff. Looks like he's prepping that one up for Keith, who, again, the carries on the Echo Fox side certainly kind of there with their items. It's just gold leads a little too much right now as P1 are 10,000 gold ahead. And it's just going to have to be almost miracle defense of the last remaining structures.
Yeah, definitely. Elder Drake will be up in 1 minute and 20 seconds. Although we're not sure if Phoenix1 is just going to try and take down the middle inhibitor first. That is the most dangerous place historically for them against Echo Fox. That's pretty much where Echo Fox gets all of their fights and where they try all of their fights, are in the mid lane. So maybe they just chill, wait for the Elder Drake before they go there, but you never know. Phoenix1 wants to keep the pressure up.
Things prepped well here for exactly that as well. Zig, Baron minions starting to prep up and build up down towards that bottom lane. P1 just going to threaten this mid here. Inori's actually also on the other side. Ultimate almost back up, but he's actually kind of guiding the minions down here. And KFO going to fight him, but Inori and his big minions, probably enough to win this. Inori's going to try.
Yeah. At the very worst, he recalls and then ults back as Rek'Sai, so he's going to give him a pressure advantage regardless.
Well, Mash is actually ulted up to that lane to try and help out. Zig going to cleanse off that one and now go back in onto Froggen. Huge damage, but the old Malzahar passive. Oh, hello.
Yeah, he doesn't actually take it the whole way. Worried about turret diving Froggen right there.
Might have got cancelled. We'll have to see later, perhaps. Much like Rek'Sai's ulti. You just hit Talia and she kind of falls off the wall, which is a little awkward. You'd think she'd have that under control.
Yeah, you're able to summon a wall from the ground, but someone like accidentally slaps you. It's like, well, nah, I can't ride it anymore.
Still learning how to use their powers, perhaps. This is P1 actually going to fall back to the Elder Dragon instead here. Inori, they're in time. Echo Fox unlikely to try and defend this, I think.
Yeah, it would have to be a pretty miracle steal attempt. Let's throw the ult in.
Hard. Oh, doesn't go in for it. That's a good one. Did have it ordered, so didn't need to make the big mistake, but this could be enough here for P1. Match charging in with the ultimate. Now Froggen, oh my god, Inori knocks up 2 there. He's on a rampage. Gragas goes down. Froggen goes down. Keith gonna get chased out of it as well. Zig and Pyrion gonna look to try and close this out. And Matt flashes in, crits Soraka's face off, and Phoenix1 gonna take out Keith and take game 2.
4 kills from the fastest possible team. Triple Cloud Drake empowered with Elder, Sivir ult coming in. They flew at Echo Fox and there was no escape. That's second inhibitor down. They don't have minions, but since they've killed everyone but KFO, they're just going to tank it up and end this game.
Don't seem to care at all. Nexus turret number 1 on the menu. Phoenix1 going to take this down. Eventually some minions might join them. And Phoenix1 are just going to try and close it out. KFO threatening. Phoenix1 not out of the woods just yet, but they'll look to try and take down KFO. He's eaten so much damage in the mini-nar form. Match going to take out his GA. And P1 going to guide the minions the rest of the way down. Echo Fox are coming back though, but KFO's dead.
Matt, they might want you in that turret. Biggle will be up in a few seconds. Nope, they'll still have enough time to finish this one out.
Little too late there. Game 2 will go to Phoenix1. They're 1 game from earning their ticket back into the NALCS.
Yeah, and this game was much better from them in terms of their ability to be proactive, force Echo Fox out of their comfort zone, get vision control, and get a lot of kills off of objectives. It was also Phoenix1 who chose to switch up the champion select here because Echo Fox was very content doing a grudge match, a salty run back, whatever you want to call it. But Echo Fox switched it up, said we can do better in champ select. They did, and they also did better in the game.
Certainly looking good there. And with that, we're going to break it down. We'll kick it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, gents. Jat just said it. Echo Fox did better in this game, although still sustaining a loss against Phoenix1 here to bring the series to 2-0. I want to see if you have shared the same sentiment. How did you feel about this draft? Because I've got 4 words for you. He said them in game. Sivir Karma Cloud Drake is feels good, man.
It feels good, man. Yeah, it feels really good. And I feel like you have a lot of options there. You can't really take the Cloud Drake too much into consideration.
Right.
But he touched on the draft as well. I actually think that this is kind of bad because it's exactly the same composition from Echo Fox, except instead of Sivir,
You traded for Illusion.
you have Lucian. So you have less engage. And I feel like they thought that they would get Sivir again because last game it was Varus Jhin, 2nd round rotation for P1. This time they took Talia Sivir. New champions for them. They thought they were going to play the same, so they took the Sivir away. And they're like, oh, okay.
Took a gamble there in champ select.
Yeah, because they thought that they were just going to have a gentleman's agreement to play the same thing because Karma Rek'Sai, once again, 1st round for P1.
Right.
So they thought they'd get the Sivir again. That's what I feel. But then the Talia comes in as well, which is Pyrion's 1st time on that champion. It's adding another element to this series that, you know, they have something that can hold up against Froggen. And instead of having to play against Froggen, you crush the rest of the map. Froggen did really well for himself, had a great scoreline, but still, you're affecting the side lanes, you're making sure that you're getting away from that lane, and you're crushing like Keith and KFO, and making sure that they can't split push, and also that Keith is really like, he's mispositioning in these fights in like the first place, but still, you're really setting them up for failure with their items.
Affecting the side lanes, perfect way for us to jump into our first replay, which is only coming 7 minutes into the game. 2 for 0 from Phoenix1 in a bot lane dive. Everyone coming to be a part of this one.
Yeah, this is great because immediately go after Keith, you know, ignite him, make sure that he can't actually get healed from Soraka, and then they pick up Soraka afterwards since she had taken so much damage from both Inori and Pyrion, and just enough turret shots there for the 2 for 0, and that's where they start getting rolling. And that's what I love to see from a Talia, is those early roams and making sure that you're upsetting the side lanes, because she can shove in mid really easily. You just got to get to those side lanes.
All right, but now let's take a look at a one fight from Fox. 17 minutes into the game, 3 for 1 around the Dragon. So this is maybe more to Jat's point about Fox stepping up a little bit more in the game and
this was
team fighting.
This was hilarious because Pyrion just tries to do a drive-by and Froggen's like, nope, come here. And Zig is like, let me help you with the wall and like take it down. You can't when you're suppressed. So then they all get in this choke point, and now it looks like it's going to go the way of Phoenix1 a little bit, but you can see on the top side, they already have members down. They're having to back up, and Zig tries to finish off Keith, but he can't. He overcommits, and he gets taken out there. And then Inori as well. He has the trail off, and he gets picked up Eventually.
They also lost a ton of their damage with Mash being shoved out of the fight early. Although he didn't go down, he was essentially at 5-10% health. Had to leave the fight without putting a whole lot of damage down. That hurt Phoenix1's ability to kind of walk back into the fight and follow Zig. So that's a 3-for-1 in favor of Fox. They have a little bit of a stab at getting back into it, but it's all for naught because of small things like Keith mispositioning, getting picked at 25 minutes. That allowed Phoenix1 to set up vision around a Baron that they would then take in an essentially uncontested fashion, right? And now we jump ahead to that 30-minute mark, 30-minute mark, and we've got a 3-for-1 out of Phoenix1 in the mid lane.
Yeah, and this fight, just the way it starts off, it's like, okay, we're dancing around. They already took the Baron. Teleport in the backside. Hard engages while the TP is still channeling, and he doesn't even get a good engage off. The barrel's not on the right angle, and now it's like, well, I guess I'm behind them, so KFO jumps in, and then this looks like it's going to be great. He wanted the double jump, but he gets the flash. He's exhausted, so it's not full damage here, but they don't have the positioning for Keith to actually get in on that fight and hit the members that were stunned against the wall.
Those ricochets are just doing some serious work. This is where we see the value of the Sivir, especially in the later portions of this game. The damage coming through as she's safe in that choke.
Yeah, if the Sivir was on the other foot in this game and it was on Fox's side, that would have been a fantastic fight for them. Just ricochet across everybody. You would have had movement speed to even get in, reposition your Gnar. But the Lucian just doesn't seem very versatile here. Sure, it does well in lane, but you're going to win lane no matter what when you have Soraka.
Yes. Oh, and we had already talked about, too, small note. I like the idea. I've seen some people do it in solo queue, have yet to see it in competitive play. And Executioner's calling very early on because we saw, even with that early 2-0 pickup for Phoenix1, we saw Mash and Gate lose a 2v2 in the bot, a straight up 2v2 in the bot lane after that. A lot of it was due to the fact that they can't focus the ADC. They can only focus the Soraka. It doesn't work out for them.
Itemization is always one of those things where do I spend 800 gold on some damage and reducing healing? I actually think that it may be an interesting build to go for. You do delay your first item and second item power spike, but you may get there sooner because you end up getting kills that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. It's a very risky route to go. There is a path to have it succeed, but I want to talk about a path that doesn't succeed for Froggen, where you can't take cleanse against the Malzahar to get rid of the ultimate, but Pyrion took exhaust this game. So because he has the Weaver's Wall and he doesn't need TP to affect the side lanes, takes the exhaust, so he's able to just shut down Froggen in fights. Froggen, sure, he gets off the ground, but exhaust that damage. Everybody's buying QSS on the team, and it just feels awful as Malzahar. Like, you don't have a target after the mid-game point, and that's the thing is Echo Fox always try to stall till that late game, but that's where they have those items in their inventory, and then your Malzahar is shut down.
Well, that's what that essentially nullifies or makes the Malzahar a lot less valuable. So although he has been performing well on it individually, we'll have to see if they make adjustments moving into Game 3. Quick note, Game 3, Phoenix1 chose to go back to the red side, so once again, same side selection. We'll see how much Fox decides to switch up moving into Game 3. Real quick, do you have any thoughts there before we throw to break?
I just don't want to see them do the exact same thing and then swap out AD carry because it just gives P1 so much control. They had already seen the draft. They'd already seen the style they're going to play with it. And that's always something you want to do in between games, especially when you lose, is change it up. Because if they are staying static and playing against you the same way they played against you previously, then they've got the edge. They're going to win.
Yeah.
Like, they're pulling out new stuff. They're pulling out Talia. It's like, oh, don't worry. Pyrion tries to crush me in lane. It's like, no, now he's roaming. So you're basically already giving them a heads up over you.
So if anything, we just want to see things switched up on the side of Echo Fox moving into Game 3 here. The teams are resetting for that Game 3, so we're going to a quick program break. Stick around. We'll be back in 3.5.
Honestly, they play pretty bad.
Yeah, they're not good.
Like, I thought even TLA's team play was better.
The only thing we have to make sure is that we do what we need to do to actually win the game.
Really good aggression there, but here comes bottom lane, Peering in a wall his way over.
I said Soraka.
I can come. Nice,
There's two. P1 with the dive. Ulti's him back, Pyrion. Yep, absolutely dead. Froggen gets him.
They did it! They ganked the Malzahar lane.
Hey, don't worry.
Rumble Rek'Sai. Rumble no flash.
Okay, backside, can you go?
No. He has nothing.
I got him. Okay, Gragas. Nice.
Game 2 will go to Phoenix1. They're one game from earning their ticket back into the NALCS.